The legal counsel for our insurance company has provided to us a recommendation that we settle in the case of Judith Carter versus the City of Mexico Beach for roughly the sum of $225,000. Of that amount, $207,000 will be paid by the insurance company. The remaining $18,000 will be paid by the City of Mexico Beach. Make a motion, we accept this recommendation to settle this case.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Blackburn?
Yes.
Mr. Mullen?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Ms. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Tindler?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. All right, moving forward to our pre-agenda workshop.
Switch tapes really fast.
Good to see you, buddy. You what, Adrian?
Switch it really fast.
Okay. Excuse me.
You're good.
Ready? All right, moving forward to our pre-agenda workshop. The agenda's been posted and everyone should have a copy or be aware of what we're going to talk about. And number one is the city administrator.
Yes, sir, on your agenda, is bear-proof dumpsters. I think maybe we should have put bear-resistant dumpsters. That's what Caitlin has preferred us to put on. But nonetheless, everyone's well aware we've got a bear problem in Mexico Beach area here. The FWC is putting bear-resistant lids on the dumpsters at the Palms and Rustic Sands anytime. They're going to do that with their own funds and try to take care of the problem up there. But in the meantime, they have figured what the cost would be to go ahead and retrofit our remaining dumpsters that the city has. The total cost is $19,993.73. We can round it off to $20,000 very easily. As you know, that we've been promised a grant from the FWC after July 1 for $20,000. So the question from Caitlin and the FWC representatives are, if we wish to go ahead and the city fund the $20,000 now, they will go ahead and order these lids, get them on the way, and get them here, and we can install those very quickly. If that doesn't suit the council, then we can wait till after July 1st and apply for the grant, and at that time, get the lid. So the question is, do we play banker for the next few months and get them now, or do we wait till after July 1?
How many lids is that?
About 31 of the lids.
Those are the big dumpsters you're talking.
Right, and of course, there's multiple lids per dumpster, so we're just talking 31 dumpsters. It's like 4 times 31 in reality, because each dumpster has like 4 separate lids.
Rustic Sands got at least 3 dumpsters. And they'll fix all 3 of them.
One of them's supposed to be for pine straw, so when they use it.
So that covers, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
that covers all the dumpsters. Let's see.
Have you seen these, Charles?
I've seen similar things, pictures they showed me, I haven't actually seen
They'll
them.
work with the way our truck is designed?
Yeah, the dumpsters are the same. It's just gonna be what we do with the lids. Some of these new dumpsters have real long and flimsy ones, and then there's some dumpsters that have about a little over a foot in the back that has a piece of the plate where some of the new ones don't, and it's full, so that makes the lids longer. So I'm gonna add a piece of plate on the ones that don't have that. That way the lids can be shorter and stouter.
All right, you want to add that to our meeting, and then we can officially make that decision at next Tuesday? Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, before you go to number 2, I was contacted by some property owners of Waterside Village, and I thought we were going to have a citizens' comment period on our workshop here, and I told them that they could speak for 3 minutes. So I'd like to ask if we let them speak for 3 minutes, or if I need to make a motion, I make a motion to do that.
Well, we don't have public comments during workshop.
Well, and I'm asking that we have one.
I think that we address it under miscellaneous. That would be the proper place to address it. And if we want to move miscellaneous up and do that first, I'm okay with that. Because I think the council needs to discuss it.
Well, I'd like to hear what they said. They made it a point to be here, and I guess I misled them by telling them that there was a citizens'
Well,
comment period here. We can wait till miscellaneous. It'll just be,
yeah, I think we need, as the chair, I strongly suggest that we abide by what we have before us. There's never been, rightly or wrongly, that you misinformed them isn't the question, but we don't have a place for items other than the miscellaneous section for discussion. Now, if the council wants to move that up, we will strictly adhere. I'm not in favor of doing that. I don't think that there's no, I mean, I don't know what they would have to say that, but I will abide by the wishes of the council if we want to move 12 to 2, is what I'm saying.
We've moved things around before, but out of courtesy, let them go ahead and get out of here.
Well, I think we need to talk about it first. I mean, I think we all were, yes, we all received the email making the request, and I think that it warrants some discussion from the council before we make that decision.
All right, well, why don't you start that then? I was trying to not let this become, it's not an agenda item, it's not anything that, I don't know how much discussion we need to put into this. So, go ahead. I mean, we're gonna move forward with discussion, but let's try to be brief with what we have to say about it.
Well, and that's pretty much what I wanted to say. We talked about this in the workshop. We had citizens express their concerns about it in the workshop. And we didn't make any decision to change the direction, to go get a second opinion. I left the workshop with the understanding that we're moving forward and we're gonna sit tight. I think, Jeff, you were the one that said, let's sit tight and wait until we get a development order and make decisions then. And so we really don't have any business before the council regarding this matter. And when I look at our new meeting ordinance, you know, one of the things that we placed in there is that the citizens' comments are limited to business before the council. And unless there's a decision to change a 2012 decision, we need to move forward. I think we need to be fair to all property owners in this respect.
I would differ in that I do think it is city business. There are obviously many people who are confused, questioning, doubtful of the PUD zoning. And so I think it's just incumbent upon us to listen to what people have to say and hopefully answer their questions so that everybody feels good that we're doing things the proper way. I see no downside to, and what I understood the request was that they wanted to be on the regular city council agenda so that they would have 7 minutes, not just 3 minutes under citizens' comments. I think if you're on the regular agenda, you can have 7 minutes, is what I understand. I see no downside to listening to citizens when they have a concern.
And I agree with that, Mary. It's just that we can't make that decision. I don't have any other information than what's been provided by the city attorney to answer any further questions. I don't know what else we can say. We talked about it at length in the workshop. We listened to citizens in the workshop. And on the specific matter, which I understand is the PUD issue, I don't know what else we can say. I mean, the only thing we as a council could decide is, okay, we'll go get a second opinion on that 2012 ruling, but I can't answer any more questions. I heard the comments, I've read all the emails, and I don't know what else to, I think as a council, we have to decide, are we gonna accept that 2012 decision and move forward? And if we're not, then
Yeah, let me just say this. Up until the last workshop, I think it was the last workshop, the decision, the direction of the council was clear. 1, 2, 3 times the decision about the PUD had been asked, and we got the same answer every time. Now, if this council wants to put it on the agenda and officially make a request to review it or talk about it, but that, to me, we have something in place that defines how we operate, and we should operate that way. And allowing people to dispute that, I don't have a problem, but that's been done. The dispute has been raised. We don't need to keep kicking that can down the road. Now, if this council wants to act and put it on the agenda for next Tuesday night and make it an official item to reopen the PUD issue, then I'm okay with that. But to have rhetoric between this table and people that disagree with it, they could pick out, we could do that with a lot of ordinances. So that's not the way we need to conduct business. So until this table decides that there's reason to open, then we need to take a vote on that, and we don't need to get bogged down in trying to change course based on somebody that doesn't agree with it. Now, that's how I feel, and that's how I think we should run this meeting. If they want to petition the city to be on the agenda, that's perfectly their right at the regular meeting. But we don't want to do that at this meeting. We did it once before. We've seen the emails. Now we want to do it again for next Tuesday night. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
So I'm allowed to put it back on the agenda.
Of course you are. Anyone can do that.
All right, well, that's what I would like to do then.
Just a point of background for everyone, the interpretation I took from the last meeting is we won't discuss this again until a development order is raised. I sent certified letters today to all property owners that there is a development order coming at the main meeting.
That's what we did. By
So-
taking no action, we agreed, in essence, we agreed that what we had in place, we were waiting for that process to move through just what it was determined, or, what was in place to make it work. We don't even have anything to act on. So why would we consider anything different than that? But that's still
But
the
we will put it
councilman's,
on.
that's still Ms. Blackman's prerogative to put it on the agenda. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I was just giving more of a heads up that it
Okay.
is on the main meeting with certified letters to all
Okay.
adjacent property.
Well, that's here and there. All right, moving ahead, master park plan, number 2.
Just to go back through, you guys have in your packet, well, a couple of things. I know Jeff went through the proposal at the workshop. I think we all agreed that municipal park is our priority, but that's on hold until we award the bid and do some other things. We all agreed that I think that any repairs to the pavilion at Sunset Park, that's ongoing maintenance, and that's basically what the plan says, it's a general maintenance item. We do have the design plan to rehab Sunset Park. I know that I talked with Kimberly at the CDC, and she's going to put it before their board and see what kind of help, if any, if they can give us for that. But they do agree that something needs to be done with Sunset Park. And we have a proposal for Sunset Park, and I think, Jeff, you expressed some concerns about the cost. So I did some checking, and a good rule of thumb for landscape and landscape installation is your installation is about, for residential, is about 2.5 times the cost of your material. And so I know what the material was going to cost when we started this project in 2013. So with that rule of thumb, this is well within a residential project. I don't know, I didn't get pricing on commercial projects, but they're typically higher. So anyways, we have the Sunset Park. We set aside $20,000 to do improvements to our parks. The CDC is helping us find grants for the turtle lighting for the pier. I know I asked Mel to add the walking path to the bid, the paving bid for 24th Street. And I think that the mayor had asked to also get an estimate on paving the drive at the Parker House property, which has got to be done before we use it. It's a mess. So we're not committing to anything. We're just getting estimates for those projects while we're bidding it, because there's some advantages in quantity doing it all at one time. So we'll get
Mobilization charges.
We'll get a estimate back on paving the path at Sunset Park, and I think we've, and they'll keep me straight, we've decided the curbing really, we would just remove the curbing and do a proper paved path. That would be the least maintenance for the city. So I would just like to at least put the Sunset Park design, if you guys are okay with it, on the agenda for Tuesday night to get a vote on that, if we can move forward and get that taken care of before our season starts. We budgeted $20,000, we have it. Just to give you some numbers, and I left my paper, Adrian, let me double check, I may have brought it. Just since October 1, with all of the new construction, we have increased that fund by $12,000. Parks and Rec impact, that was the number that Adrian gave me, and we have over $100,000 in it right now, with $20,000 of that encumbered for the improvements this year. So the money is there, and you know, impact fees, if you don't use them, I mean, our study says that we need them. That's the impact of new construction on our Parks and Recs, and if we don't use it, under the Florida statute, you're supposed to return it. Or it's subject to be returned. So I think that we need to do Sunset Park, and I think that we need to wait and see what the bid comes back on the paving for the Parker House property and the walking path, and then make some decisions when that comes back. So I'd like to put that on the agenda if you guys are comfortable with it, the Sunset Park proposal. Now the other thing that I asked Mel to do is we have 3 parks that we're looking at. And we've got lots of ideas from citizens on what we'd like to see at those parks. So we got a proposal from Coastal, which is the only design company in our area, to do a master plan for each of those parks, which would be Municipal Park, Under the Palms, and Parker House property. And if you had a chance to read it, it's very detailed what they would provide. For Municipal Park, it's a little bit different because for Municipal Park, because of the stage that we're at, it would be a very detailed plan that we could take and then go execute. And that would include arrangement of all of the park equipment, landscaping. They would even make recommendations on the equipment. There's so many different types of equipment. I'm sure, Troy, you know that out there. And because they've done urban planning, they can help us with determining, you know, how many swings we need, where the slides would be, the layout of the park to make it the best use for the children. So anyways, they've given us this proposal. One of the things, and Mel and I talked about this when we applied for the grants for Municipal Park and 7th Street Park, we didn't have a plan. When you go apply for grant funding, you don't have a plan, it makes it really difficult to sell your case. So what this would give us is, this would give us a plan for all 3 of those parks, a master plan, if you will, very similar to our stormwater master plan. So that then we could get busy and start looking for grants and applying for grants, especially for the Parker House property. We know we're going to need those funds. So 2 items. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look over the proposal for the master plans. If it's too soon to put that one on the agenda for next week. I'll leave that up to you, but that's,
Which one are we putting on the agenda?
I would like to put the Sunset Park, the proposal to landscape and improve Sunset Park.
And there's no fee for that?
Yeah, it's in the,
I missed it.
it's been in our packet for several meetings.
It's
now.
not in this one, Mayor. It was
Okay, it's just not in.
It's 7736, it's below the competitive bid amount.
I had a question on this, coastal, under the Palms Park, 3,300, and Parker House, 300, is that 66 combined?
Yeah, the total is 7,900 to do master plans for all three parks. The only difference is municipal park, the deliverable there would be actual detailed landscape layout. They're gonna help us do everything. The other two would just be, there would be a series of meetings and workshops. She would,
Under the Palms I thought the concept was way more simple than that. This indicates the concept for Palms is as high as the Parker property.
well, and what she's looking at, she looked at the list of things that we have on Parks and Rec, like we looked at disc golf, dog park, volleyball court. So those were just looking at, and we had applied for a grant, which is more playground equipment, I think. It's benches, picnic tables, that kind of stuff. Just basically doing a layout for, and it would include both sides, not just the park, but the park that goes across 7th Street and across 5th Street on the other side, to essentially give us a master plan so then we have something to use to go start applying for grants and funding.
Have we already applied?
We only applied for 2 small grants for municipal and 7th Street, and they are on the list, but we don't know if we're going to get them or not. We won't know until sometime after the legislative session ends and then the state budget is set. But again,
Add a plan to the packet, it might make it more amenable to.
I don't know if it's too late to add the plan for that. I
Too
think
late
it
for this
is.
last cycle,
And-
yes.
And our ranking was very low because we really didn't have a plan. You know, we had no plan, we had nothing to say, here's what we're gonna do. So I hope we get the funds, but we need to have a plan. I mean, anytime you're asking for grant money, you need to be able to show what you wanna do with the money. So I think it's important, just like the stormwater master plan, I think it's important that if we're gonna be asking for grant money and seeking funding, we need to have a plan. CDC has agreed to help us. There's actually a grant right now, it's called Bark for Your Park, and it's a $100,000 grant for a dog park. And Kimberly said that they would help us promote it on social media and anything we needed to do. So the CDC is on board as well and will help us with this. But again, we've got to have a plan to submit. So 2 items. One is the Sunset Park. I'd like to move forward with that since we did budget for those improvements. And if we do that, I'd like to ask Troy and Mel if you guys are going to be able to pressure wash and clean up that pavilion and get the paint touched up, because that's general maintenance and that's on the list. If we do that, I just think it would look really nice, and that park gets a lot of use and a lot of exposure. And then the master plan, we can wait and talk more about that in the next workshop if you guys want to talk more about that. And maybe if you want to talk to Mel about it, or.
We ought to move forward on the master design plans, just get them rolling.
Well, I agree, I just,
Well, we can put it on there, and if there's opposition, or I don't think unless you have more discussion, but I mean, we can certainly go ahead and put the total project, which is the Sunset Park is what is already sort of laid out, and we have that, but the design plan for the other 2, I think we ought to put it on there.
you know, we have to approve the proposal, their proposal, and accept their proposal. We have to vote to do that. And then, as you see in her, the proposal, there's a whole series of workshops, and they get citizen input. They do renderings so the citizens can actually see. And I think that would be something really, really smart for us to do for Municipal Park, to be able to show those folks what we're gonna do.
The one drawback that I have is that we have, I mean, I don't know this, I heard what Ms. Castor said, that there's no other design people in our area, but we need to be very careful with that about just assuming that coastal is the only one. Again, I don't know the answer to that, but we certainly need to look at that.
And, I mean, we can put it out for bid if you want to do that. We were just going by the ordinance and what was required.
It was based on money. It was the ordinance,
Right.
we're doing it because
Right.
it's under $8,000.
Right. But if you guys want to put it out for bid.
By $100, I think it would be wise to put it out to bid. If it's $7,900, I think that's, you know, I realize it says 8,000, but I just think it would be much better and let people, let's see what else is out there when it's that close.
Yeah,
And it's a new process that we're going through. So,
So,
Can I comment?
Sure.
I've had a couple citizens just recently, and I don't know if it's because the park has come up, but two people, and I'm sure there's more out there, if two have talked to me, I know there's more, who have expressed interest in doing like a beautification committee. I think it's a wonderful idea. It wouldn't just be parks, it could be, you know, a multitude of things. I'm thinking, you know, the kinds of plantings that we put in front of our, you know, Welcome to Mexico Beach signs. There are people who, unlike me, who I have a brown thumb, they have a green thumb, and they know what plants work and what plants don't, and sometimes it's just an easy fix. I think if we have citizens who are willing to put some elbow grease and brain power to work for us so that some of those decisions could maybe be taken off the backs of other people, city staff, I'm all for that. So I'm just bringing that because citizens have definitely expressed interest to me of forming some kind of beautification committee to help with landscaping and the looks of our parks and whatever else they think is important.
all right, for Tuesday night, we're going to put the Sunset Park plan on the agenda.
Not the big plan.
No, we're going to, but then we're going to, on the agenda, put on there to discuss soliciting bids for a master plan. Separate item. Don't get that tied into Sunset Park. Or is that kosher with everyone? Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I came prepared to bring up the Bark for Your Park competition, but since you brought it up, am I to understand that the city is in favor of doing that? Because if so, then I would like to help spearhead that, because it's an excellent chance for us to jump into something where we might get quite a bit of money. So is the city behind this, or is it the CDC?
Repeat what we're, what type of, I didn't hear what what are you touting?
yeah, I'll explain it. There's a grant opportunity, a $100,000 grant. It's called Bark for Your Park, to do a dog park. And of course, I talked to Kimberly, and she thinks it's a great idea, and she thinks we should, you know, St. Joe is doing something very similar, and they're right up there at the top in the running to get the grant. And Kimberly said that much of the grant is social media promotion. And she said that the CDC, she's got to take it before the board, but she felt like the board would help us promote it through social media, the grant opportunity. And basically, your citizens vote, your visitors vote, and based on votes, it's a you know, kind of a convoluted process. But again, you have to have a plan. And she did say that she could support it. I know Mary mentioned that you had some folks that would be interested. I'm a cat person, I'm not a dog person, so I wouldn't know the first thing about what a dog would need. But certainly, I think if we have folks, as Mary said, I love the idea of letting citizens help us with this, and having a beautification committee, I think, is a great idea. But you know, we have a lot of areas, our entryway signs, there's so many places that we could use citizen input, but I don't want to be in a position of I think when we start talking about our parks and what we're gonna do with the Parker House property, I think we need some professional help with that, because
So
those are
circling
important.
back around to
So
my.
I would say it's up to the
Well,
council.
let me ask you this question. Would this not just be part of the master plan scenario that would eventually, like, we would say, here's some options, here's where we put it? I mean,
Yes and no, but let me make it even more specific. Should I go talk to Kimberly about this, about getting involved in this, because there's a specific, very.
I don't know anything about Kimberly and the CDC. I don't know.
There's a deadline for this particular grant. I think that's what Lisa's getting at.
Oh.
We're gonna try to apply
Yeah.
for it. We need to apply for it now.
Who would apply for it? The city?
This,
Yes, the city.
people nominate their city.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should apply for anything.
Okay, then
Personally.
I will talk to Kimberly.
Excellent.
Okay. Are we clear now about what's going to be on the agenda? I want to get that.
Crystal.
Crystal, good.
So
Okay.
let me interject. And I agree, Tanya, that we probably need some professional help as well with some of this stuff. But can we go ahead and form a committee that would also be involved with the professional team, so that, can we go ahead and form a committee? of that?
I think that's a good idea. I mean, anything we can take off our plates and let the citizens do, it's their parks. I'm okay with that, having a citizen. I mean, because if you look at the plan, there are gonna be workshops where they get input from the public, and I think if you've got a committee already established, then you can let the committee work with your planners.
Why don't you just take that on and come back with the council with some guidelines of what you want and give us something to look at?
Yes, sir.
Okay? All right, number 3, me. All right, the employment agreement for our city administrator, the probationary period is ended, and according on page 2, under section 3, it says that the administrator's performance, salary, and benefits will be reviewed at the conclusion of the 6-month probationary period and annually thereafter by the city council on the anniversary date of the contract. I bring this to the council's attention simply because the 6-month is up, and I haven't heard anybody that doesn't want to do anything but, or think that he's not doing what he's was hired to do, and I would assume that we are satisfactorily, or we are satisfied with his performance under the 6-month probationary period. It doesn't say there's a form to fill out. It doesn't give us, other than that I think it would be appropriate to discuss it. And if we are all put, as far as the agenda, I think it needs to be formally approved that the probationary period has ended, and give anyone a chance if there is some reason to want to discuss that further. If not, it will simply go away, the way I read this. But we will certainly can talk about it now. I just want to bring that up so everyone will be aware. And it says under B, it says that the successful conclusion of the probationary period, this paragraph becomes null and void. So I think there needs to be some action, official action, that we recognize that it's over, is my point.
Yeah, I mean, it is over, so it's null and void. We all just recognize it. We do need to talk about salary.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. When Mel first came, I sat down and wrote out my goals that I'd like to see him accomplish the first year. And they were quite challenging. And I was looking at those today, and I would say he's risen to the challenge. And I thank you, because when we sat down that day, we really weren't sure what you were going to get done, because it seems like every rock you turn over had a stake under it. But I think you've done a great job, and I certainly support letting the probationary period expire and also talking about salary.
Okay? Would you like to discuss anything, or you want to wait until it's officially before the council at the next
Yeah, I
meeting?
think before the council, and then
Okay? Put that on the, you got it? Okay. Moving on. All right, number 4, Mel?
Your Honor, the public was given direction to give me their names if they wish to be appointed to the Plan and Zoning Board. So I provided a memo for your packet which stipulates the names that have come forward wanting to be appointed to that board. So I just provided this so that if you wish to go ahead and resurrect that board, these are the names to consider.
If I can make some corrections, I think it's Jim Bush, not Tim Bush.
My mistake.
That's okay. And Diane Nesbitt. Now, Diane may be her real name, but I know her by Nina. So, I don't know. Diane may be her real name, I don't know.
Do they provide any information? Some of these names I've never heard of. They provide any kind of background or?
They did not. They gave me their addresses to make sure they were residents of the city. Outside of that, I figured that board members might know these people to see if they are people that they wish to serve on this board. I don't think it was incumbent upon me to ask 50 questions.
You know, I thought maybe you just ask for a letter from them, you know, why they wanted to serve and a little background. I think we used to do it at one time.
And I don't think that's, you know, I mean, I think you can still do that. Can't we still do that? Just ask them to,
Yeah, just a little bit about
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
I mean, I don't expect a curriculum vitae, but, you know, I mean, some of these names I don't know.
yeah, I don't think that's, you know, I think
Yeah,
that's.
and I think there should be, if nothing else, just a letter from them stating that so that the file reflects that they initiated a request.
I'll contact them, have them do that.
And then with that, you could simply say, you know, give us a little info, and then if the council wants to bring that back to life, that's certainly something that we can do.
Can we put this on the agenda? I'd like to put it on the agenda
Yes,
for
absolutely,
next Tuesday
yes.
night. I'm familiar with everyone. Denise Kidder, is she a resident? I mean, do they actually live here?
She gave an address that was in the city.
Yeah, they live here,
Oh, they're living in, I guess.
behind Mango Motors. That's where they live.
Oh, okay. That was the only question I had.
What would be the purpose of putting this on the agenda for approval?
Yeah.
Yes, so we can move forward and
Okay,
reestablish.
well, let me just say, in light of what happened with the last planning zone, there is no liaison person appointed to that. There's been nothing done to bring that committee. I think we should get a letter from them. I think we should have an opportunity to, this is an important board that serves the city council, and we need to make sure that we pick people that have a good understanding of what's involved. And I don't think that was necessarily the case the last time. So just to throw these names out there and say, yes, they volunteered, I'm not for doing that. I want to see what they write us and why they want to be on this board. And I would hope the city council would.
I would say Mary is our liaison for planning and zoning. We appointed her last June to be the liaison for planning and zoning. So yeah, we did appoint someone. And, you know.
Last when?
In June, when we established jobs for the council.
We didn't have a board.
But Mary was appointed as the P and Z liaison.
So it was a really easy job, I liked it.
When there's no board, that is a great job. But I think it's incumbent upon us to learn from what we did that didn't work. And
I
we.
think-
What?
No, man. I didn't mean to-
I just think that that's important, that we pick people that have good qualifications and that they understand the role of what they're doing, that's all. And from a letter, not but at least I want to see who applies. These people haven't made any application. I mean, maybe they called mail and said they did, but to me, that's not the way I want to appoint a planning and zoning board member.
Well, I can tell you when I was, you know, talking to citizens saying, you know, would you be interested? The first thing I said to them, I was on planning and zoning. It was the most difficult, that was before I was the councilman, the most difficult job I've ever had. It's extremely difficult. So I don't think they you know, they're volunteering because they think it's a piece of cake and they don't have to work at it.
Oh, I didn't say that. You didn't hear what I said. I
But
said,
I-
I think
I
we need
agree.
something official from them that says that they want to make application to be on the zoning board.
So if we get their letter before next Tuesday, can we put this on the agenda?
Well, why, I guess I'm trying to understand why we sat here this long.
Well, can I just interject here? You were on planning and zoning.
Right.
And I don't think that the problems had anything to do with the lack of qualifications of the people sitting behind the table. I thought that they.
For some reason,
they
I
did
was
it-
not renominated.
Yeah, they did a good job, but they didn't get a lot of good direction. And I think that, and before, I was on planning and zoning, Mary, Jeff, we were all on planning and zoning. All you had to do was write a letter and basically say, I want to be on planning and zoning, and that's really all we're asking them to do. You had to give your qualifications last time, and we're going to do that again. I don't know how that's going to result in a different outcome. So I think we should put it on the agenda. We can ask them for, if you want letters. I know, I handed a couple of letters to Mel. So we can get some more information to provide to the council members. And if you're not ready to vote, then you can vote no. But
Well, I don't think
we
it should
move
be on
ahead.
the agenda for approval, and I'll tell you why. My memory tells me that the last zoning board we had didn't even understand the setbacks. They didn't know how to measure from the setbacks, and it's plainly, I
It's
went to
not
that
true,
meeting.
Al. Don't make it like we're idiots.
Well, I'm not, I'm
Oh,
stating
yeah.
a fact.
No, it wasn't a fact. There was conflict in our ordinances on,
No.
y'all had to pass a new ordinance to define which
First
side
of
got
all-
measured on a corner lot. That confusion was in the books, not in our minds.
I'll wait till you're through. You go ahead. You finished?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat what I said. There were many items that were brought up in the zoning board meeting that they weren't even tasked to do. There were issues with the zoning board. If there weren't issues, we wouldn't have said, let's get rid of it, let's stop it. We need good people, and we need to see, I don't know some of these people. And I don't want to, just because they called and said, yeah, I want to be on the board, I want to learn a little something about them. We used to, we would even ask them to come up and speak several years ago. Say, hey, we need to do that. We need to, I mean, you can say what you want, but there were issues with the previous zoning board. So,
Well, I'll say what I said before. I mean, you put two names in front of me, just the top two, Bruce Kiesling and Tim or Jim Bush. I don't know. And you asked me to approve an appointment to a government post. I'd like to know a little bit about them. I mean, I don't think that's unusual or asking too much. So I don't see any reason to be voting on this until we get a little bit of information.
yeah, a little.
And I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay.
I think you need to know who they are. I absolutely agree with that.
Well, then can we just wait till we get the information, then we can all digest it, and we can make a decision, okay?
So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can request them to come to the next meeting.
Right, I agree. If we need to have them come and tell a little bit about themselves, then let's do that. But I don't think we keep delaying this and delaying this. We've got, matters coming before the board, and I think it's always good to have more citizens involved in the process and more citizens engaged, and
Okay.
we want to do that.
Yes, yes.
Does the planning and zoning board need to be in place before consideration is given to the project that's supposed to present plans?
Not necessarily. Doesn't
I
have
think
to
it should be in place, so should we delay that one until there is?
be. No,
or
ma'am.
whatever?
Not in my opinion. There's no correlation to me between those two. The PUD and, the city council acts as the zoning board now.
Then we're supposed to have a planning board to consider such a proposal before it's presented to the council? And we don't have a planning board in place.
Well,
Look,
land
we,
development.
let me restate this, because it's, I'm of the opinion that that we get gather, that we do this, I don't know why we wouldn't want to wait until we get something from those people. There seems to be no, I mean, there's no rush here. It's not like not appointing them is going to cause an issue. Let's just follow good practices and get a letter from them. And then if we want to talk to them ourselves, we can do that.
I agree completely. So why can't we wait until your background and research and all is done? And then whatever the new program is, go through that, whoever you selected, and then come to the council. Wouldn't it be better to have that in place? Go through your due diligence and select good people to be on the planning and zoning, and then get their opinion, and then let it come to council.
That's a normal procedure.
Let what come to council? I'm confused.
This new project that you're going to consider.
Any project, not just the new one, but any future projects.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we can hold up development orders on a planning and zoning board.
Yes, ma'am, you have a comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. Planning and zoning fell apart because we didn't have council that supported us. We were told that we weren't to come up with our own ideas for what needed to be reviewed. Our recommendations were not taken under consideration. We were overruled. People got horribly frustrated and quit. So I'm going to try it again, but we need some good direction, good training, and we need a council that thinks that we have an important job to do.
Okay. Could you get a letter from these, but yes.
I have a very good candidate for planning and zoning. I don't know how the original solicitation went out. I've been at all these meetings, but I have a good candidate, and I will instruct him to talk to Bill to get his letter.
Okay. All right, so, excuse me?
On or not on next week?
As chairman, I strongly suggest that we do not put that on the agenda. It's a voting issue.
I agree.
Okay,
Mary?
now,
I think it's important that everybody feels comfortable with them, so if we want to wait a month, I think it's okay.
all right. Thank you. All right, city administrator, number 5.
Number 5 is the TPO interlocal agreement. I didn't bother crafting a memo for this thing because the letter from Mary Robinson pretty much explained everything that we needed to know. Bottom line is every 5 years, the TPO agreement needs to be revisited. They have done that. And the main thing they're changing this time is they're taking out the city of Cedar Grove, which, as you know, no longer exists. So we're being asked by the Transportation Planning Organization to approve this agreement.
Okay, can we put that on the agenda, please?
Jeff, you're our representative on
Correct. I went last month, and 90% of the conversation was about the Bay County trawl. And how to fund it, and how to expand lines, and we don't have any service from them on it, so I didn't make any report to the board. We're the redheaded stepchild over here, we don't get anything from Bay County, or
I think you'd be surprised what we get. Okay. And I say that so that everyone will be aware. I mean, the county has supported us with the dredge. They supported us with our pier extension financially. They have been there to assist us in many ways, whether it be through police, whether it be through financial support when we ask them on certain projects. I just think that we just need to be aware of what the county does do for us. Okay, number 6.
Number 6 is mine. All I did was update the leave no trace ordinance to incorporate some information, the email we received from the Turtle Patrol and their request. I added that to the leave no trace ordinance, my proposal, as well as some education and information section. So I know, Mary, you had proposed in our last workshop a marketing campaign, and I didn't know if you had the details and for us to consider. I am still of the opinion that you can educate and put an ordinance in place at the same time if all we're doing is educating. Because I think I heard you say, and I don't put words in your mouth, that you didn't think we had enough time to properly implement for this summer. Therefore, we wanted to do the marketing campaign. But in any event, I wanted to keep that on the agenda and keep the ordinance before us.
So I'll talk about my proposal a little bit. I'm not quite as organized as Ms. Castro. But I have been talking to CDC, property managers, citizens, and I'm going from the philosophy that asking instead of mandating sometimes is easier to swallow. So I do think it's kind of late to enact an ordinance, kind of throwing it on people as they come for their first vacation. So I am a little bit more a proponent of marketing it first. I think of this, my little keep it neat thing, as a precursor to perhaps leave no trace. And I am using the word perhaps because maybe keep it neat will work. I don't think it's going to take a lot of improvement to show that things are improving. Our season is relatively short here, so we just have to take care of things for a short amount of time. So anyway, so I have Kimberly is on board CDC. She's talking to her board next week about doing a video, getting Mel and Chief Norris involved for their parts. I've also talked to Jack Kerrigan, just because he's in the marketing business, about perhaps doing some kind of maybe a trifold or a rack card. My thoughts, if you got the little piece of paper I handed out, and I meant to put it on the bench, but I didn't. Just kind of my thoughts, not written in stone. I am certainly amenable to anybody's thoughts as to how it needs to be written. Thank you very much. Of course, a trifold is going to be, it's going to cost money. I don't think I got a few numbers, but I'll have more numbers next week, because I would also like to put my Keep It Neat on the agenda. I think in order for this to work, the property managers have got to be on board. They're the ones who talk to the tourists. They're the face of the tourists. And if they are not supporting a leave no trace ordinance, personally, I don't think it's going to work. So I think they are on board for a Keep It Neat marketing campaign, even though I know it has no teeth. We're asking people to do the right thing. But honestly, you know, public pressure, peer pressure does work. So, so I've got my little trifold here. The only other thing that I would bring next week are the dollars, and also on the last little panel there, items that are broken, look abandoned, will be tagged and need to be removed within 24 hours. Walton County and Franklin County have a tag like this, and they tag items that need to be removed. Now, what I'm thinking needs to be removed first are broken things. That's what makes our beach look so trashy, when there's tents that are broken and they've been there for weeks. And I know that Troy and the sanitation guys are leery of taking people's items because they've caught flack for that. I think tagging items, if Beach Patrol takes their sweep, the trash guys take their sweep, and they see a broken tent, they put this little tag on there that gives the tent owner 24 hours to do what they need to do with it. And then the next time the beach patrol goes down, they see that tag on there, they take it. So they know that the people have been notified. It's now abandoned property and we're allowed to take it. It's just kind of a courtesy thing. The tag actually is just kind of a courtesy thing. But if we remove those things immediately, within 24 hours, I think it'll clean up our beaches. And we won't look, it's not gonna, help with the number of tourists, but we don't want to lessen the number of tourists. So anyway, that's my proposal. I'll have it probably in a little neater package with some dollar amounts next week.
Well, I would say, who's gonna be doing the tagging? Because you're gonna be tagging a lot, because, for example, I saw a tent down there, they had only 2 sides, and it was on the ground, and they were just using it as kind of a canopy. Well, it's a broken tent, but they're using it. So how are you gonna determine who's gonna tag it, how are you gonna determine, and so the beach patrol or someone's gonna have to stop and look at every one of those tags to determine the date. Does it have a date on it?
Yes.
And they're gonna have to look at the date and the date and time that it's on there, and we're gonna determine if it's.
Yeah, I think there is a common sense, we have to have a common sense attitude about this. So yes, definitely beach patrol, definitely the trash guys, definitely if the police are on the beach and they're getting a dog off the beach and they see a broken tent, they can put a tag on it. I don't think it really matters. I don't think it's going to be,
It's not like there's 1,000 of them down there. Broken tent.
I don't think you've been to the
I've been to
dedicated
the
beach
beach.
and.
Okay.
Into the
Are
beach.
we,
But
yes,
I-
hey, go ahead.
I spend a lot of time on the beach, and one of my friends that comes to the beach, she lives in Houston, but now she's back and forth. She owns a home here. She was on the beach the other day. She said when somebody with a pickup truck came through and picked up a bunch of chairs that were left and a cart that people carry their stuff in and put it in the back of a pickup truck. And where I sit on the beach, I go to the end of 36th Street, there's been a tent frame there all week. There's been no people there, there's no top on it, it's just the frame that's been sitting there for about 5 days now. And I haven't seen anybody come back to it. So I think this is a good proposal, because if these people just took off and went back to wherever they came from and left their tent, I don't want to be looking at that when I'm trying to see the surf, or,
We're only
Watch my
tagging, we're gonna tag broken or look abandoned. How do we
It's supposed to be,
determine?
I mean, as far as I'm
How do you enforce
concerned, it's abandoned.
this ordinance that's 9 pages long? It's got the same
If it's
definitions in
there,
it.
well, what I've been told by other cities, it's one of the easiest ones to enforce, because if it's there, you pick it up. If it's there, the law, the rule says you can't be there, so if it's there, you pick it up.
Okay.
And but there has to be some education. I think the first time we implement it, we've got to really, make sure that there's education and people are familiar. But I'm still struggling with how you guys are gonna know what looks abandoned, because then you have to tag it. And then so the garbage guys and beach patrol and everybody.
That's the thing, I have so many different people doing that job. I mean, Monday and Friday, my general maintenance guys do it first thing in the morning. Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday, the sanitation guys, and then there's 6 different ones a day. So
Well, I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem. If now, you're going to have to direct them. But I trust that all of your guys will be able to tell Now, her situation is a little bit different. I don't consider a tent that's still standing on all four legs, even though it doesn't have the canopy on it, I don't consider that abandoned. Now, it may be abandoned, yes, it may be abandoned after 5 days, but that's a different scenario that we probably need to address separately. But certainly, when there's a broken tent, you can tell it's a broken tent. When there's chairs that are overturned because they've been caught in the surf and they're full of sand, you know, it is a little bit subjective, but I completely trust the judgment of our workers to know what is broken or not.
Mexico Beach is 68 years old this year, and we have not had a major problem on our beaches in those 68 years. We do have a part-time beach patrol that can identify these items, this few items, like the tent that didn't have a tent on it, it's been there 5 days, that can be picked up. And I strongly suggest that instead of this control ordinance, which we have more control already on a few other things than we really need, not be, let's go and try this for a year, and then if it doesn't work, come back to Tanya, to the proposal. Let's don't jump in and.
Well, I guess I'm of the opinion that you be proactive instead of reactive. And if we are now the only beach from Franklin County all the way to Pensacola that hasn't enacted an ordinance to protect our beach. And Gulf County just recently did a lot of research on theirs, and they found that allowing people to leave all that stuff down there actually has a negative impact on tourism. But it's not going, this is not going to address that issue. I know I've talked to property owners who don't live here, but they own property here, and they like to come down at the beginning of the summer, and they take their tent and they pitch their tent down on the beach. And when they go home on Sunday night or Monday, they remove the canopy and lower it. But it's essentially there all summer long. And then when they come back on Friday, they raise it and put their canopy on it. And we have a lot of tents like that are essentially there for week after week after week. And this doesn't change that. I think you're just looking at, for this, you're just looking at broken or
For the
caught in
tagging,
surf,
yes,
for the
yes.
tagging.
Yes.
So this is only going to solve the issue of broken and things which you guys are picking up already without tagging it. When it's broken and it's laying there, you guys are picking it up.
But
If it's
the only
chairs-
difference being that I'm just putting a 24-hour, notice on it. I know that tents, broken tents, nets, volleyball nets that have been disassembled have stayed on the beach for weeks, and I understand that Troy is somewhat hesitant to take, because he feels like he's taking people's stuff. So, and he doesn't want to be called on the carpet for that. He has every right to do it, but he doesn't want to be called on the carpet, and people are going to whine and complain. So this to me is just, it's a courtesy to the people who own it. Probably 99% of those tags are abandoned property, and they couldn't care less whether you took it or not. But if we get it off immediately, instead of leaving it 4 or 5 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, that will clean it up. I'm not saying this is going to solve everybody's problem with claiming your little area on the beach. I'm not trying to solve that problem, to be honest with you, but I'm just trying to make it perhaps a little bit better and sort of wean people into the leave no trace ordinance if we feel like we need to do that next year.
Well, let me just for clarification, because I'm a little confused here. Today, without this keep it neat or ordinance or anything else, when your guys see broken things on the beach, broken chairs, the tents, you're picking them up already. During the summer, you pick most of those up.
Most of them, and what helps is where they're at. If it's set up and there's a one broke little thing on it, but it's out on the beach, we'll let it sit there for several days. But most of them, like when Jeff was down there Saturday, I went, the tent was up by the can, by the dune, knowing it was broke, so that was a no-brainer. We got it. But if it's out on the beach, they could still even though it's broke a little bit, they can still put a top on it, we're gonna get it for a couple of days. And
So-
then it's iffy.
So in this situation, if you see those, you're gonna tag them. And then check back in 24 hours. Those that have, the wind is caught and they're up in the dunes, what are you gonna do with those? You're gonna tag those, you're gonna,
If it's up in the dunes, we're probably gonna get it.
you're gonna pick it up.
You know, the beach patrol could have a yellow tag to put on anything that needs to be, and when the Troy's trash people come to, they can pick it up right then and work fine, wouldn't it, Troy?
Well, anything that's in the dunes is considered abandoned and needs to be taken immediately, I believe is what the forest statute says.
What's on the agenda?
I'm gonna ask the same courtesy that we gave the guys on planning and zoning. I'm seeing this for the first time, we still don't have cost, I still don't understand how it's gonna be implemented, and I would like some time to get some answers, think about it. So I would like not to be on the workshop next week, on the meeting next week, but on the next workshop, and bring back those answers on cost, and then, because I have questions like, how are we gonna get it in the vacation rentals? Where is this gonna, how are we gonna distribute this brochure? Because I certainly don't want us to pass it out on the beach, and next thing you know, we've got these flyers all over the beach.
Let me just say something, can we end this?
I wanna make-
If it takes this much discussion to try to solve something, something tells me there's not a problem. That's how I feel. There's not an issue, but that's I want to get clear, go ahead, and then I'll.
Well, I didn't support this ordinance last time, and I don't support it now, but I want to point out, I don't know if this is new or I missed it, about education and information. But this paragraph says, after this ordinance is passed, the City of Mexico Beach CDC shall do various things submitted to the city for approval and conduct campaigns annually, and I just don't think that the City Council of Mexico Beach can task a county organization to do anything. I'm sure they'll be glad to work together with the problem or the project, but I don't think we have the authority to task the county to do something. So that if it ever shows up again for a vote, I would strongly urge it not be in there.
Okay, so for the
Excuse me,
meeting,
Can I
Yeah.
answer that, since that's on there? That is a collaborative effort. That's not intended to say we're instructing the CDC. If you look at all the other leave no trace ordinances, they work with their TDCs and their CDCs. It could be the same exact thing they do year after year after year. There could be no change. And Gulf County TDC is doing it and partnering with their county. Bay County TDC has worked with Panama City Beach. You can go online and research it. You can see it all down the line. So that's not intended to be a directive. That just is intended to be a starting point where if we do something like that, the CDC, just like this marketing effort, you would collaborate.
Well, it's
and
not
work
what it
together.
says. It says that it is a tasking. It uses the word shall promptly draft and submit to the city council for approval, the city administrator, and every year you're gonna run a campaign. Now, that's directive to me.
Well, I think that you could, as I said, what most of them are doing is they're just doing the same thing every year, which is making sure on their website, on their social media, they remind people of the ordinance, remind people what they should be doing. It's no different than this, no different than this. And you can change the wording however you want to change the wording, but that's the intent of it. I'm kind of perplexed why our CDC is so opposed to it when all the other areas have determined that by letting your beach look trashy, by having people go down and be able to stake their claim on the beach and reserve a spot, if you will, has a negative effect on tourism, but that doesn't
you know,
seem to be
in
something.
Gulf County, they let dogs on the beach. You can have bonfires.
Well, I'm not saying we're doing it because Gulf County's doing it.
What, I mean, I'm just saying, Mexico Beach does things because it's what Mexico Beach is, and it's how we operate. That's why we do it. There's not an issue. We
Well,
talked about that. There's just, I mean,
That's a
how
matter
many?
of opinion. That's a matter of opinion.
survey I did from people, I couldn't find anybody that thought there was big, there was any, I mean, I didn't just make that up.
And I didn't make it up either. So can we put it on the workshop agenda? and
You know,
Put
I'd-
what on the
I'd-
workshop?
I'd like to go ahead and put it on the city agenda. We don't have to, I mean, we could decide not to vote on it. Keep it neat. My proposal.
On next week's meeting agenda?
Well, I think
What are we
that-
gonna present? This, you're gonna have, I mean.
I'll have a little bit more than that. I'll have some dollar amounts.
Okay.
The tag,
Do you want
wording.
this on there? Leave no trace ordinance on the agenda?
Yeah, we can put it on there. I think that you should give the council, it's kind of what you said before, you should give the council the opportunity. This is the first time we're seeing it, and we still don't have all the answers,
Okay.
and I think we should.
This isn't-
We should be able to look at it further before it's put on a.
Put them both on there.
Do you want it written as a first reading, since it's an ordinance?
I don't know. Do you want it as a first read?
Well, I'd like to talk about both efforts more in a workshop.